Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. My name is Rick Starr. I'm the president of the Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club. I'd like to welcome you all tonight to our Tuesday evening meeting. We meet every Tuesday here at the Hy-Vee meeting room, right next to the ice cream aisle. I've sort of run out of clever things to say about ice cream and Toastmasters, so I'll just say we're right at the end of the ice cream aisle, and that should suffice. We have a very interesting meeting tonight, 3 speakers. And first of all, we have one guest. Angela, you were here last week. Why did you come back? Why on earth did you come back?
I wanted to learn.
Wanted to learn, good. Well, welcome, we're glad you're here. Doing? Welcome back. So the couple of housekeeping items, if any of you have your cell phone with you, please turn it off. Not just in vibrate mode, just completely off. I'd like to read the mission of this Toastmasters Club. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Now I'd like to introduce our Toastmaster for this evening, the Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Will Burns.
Thank you, Rick. As Rick said, as the Toastmaster, I am the Master of Ceremonies. I just help this thing move along. But this would not work without all of you. We'll get to the roles here in just a minute. First, let me ask a question. Who here brought their Confident Leader Manual? Emery, good job. Actually, do you need anything signed off this week?
Is Fraser here?
Fraser's here, yep.
If he gives his third speech, I will have completed my manual.
All right, we'll take care of that then for you after the meeting. So, we're communicators up here, but we're also leaders. And one of the ways we develop our communication is with the Competent Communicator Manual. Competent Leader Manual helps us to develop our talents behind the scenes, organizing and making this happen, but also serving as a test case, if you will, to allow you to empower yourself in whatever aspect of your life and making your own reality outside as well. And now let's get to the roles. First off, let's have a big hand for our videographer, Dan Craig. And next, let's hear the report of what Marco will do as timer tonight.
Hello, good evening everyone. My name is Marco. I will be the timer for tonight. My role as a timer is to count you out. So we have 3 speeches tonight, and it will be 5 to 7 minutes speeches. In 5 minutes, we'll show the green light on. This is on the 5 minutes. On 6 minutes, 6 minutes is yellow. And on the 7 minute is red. And that's why you have 30 minutes to wrap it up and close. For table topics, we have 1 to 2 minute speeches. On 1 minute is green. On 1:30 is yellow, and 2 minutes is red. And for evaluators, it's 2 to 3 minutes. 2 is green, 2:30 is yellow, and 3 is red. And I will give my report at the end of the meeting.
And next, helping to expand the beauty of the English language, or grammarian, Art Atkinson.
My role as grammarian has 2 pieces to it. One is to listen to the language used by everyone who speaks in the room this evening and catch any, what the French would call a bon mot, a very colorful or memorable way of using the language. And should there be anything that needs correction in grammar. The other part of my role tonight is to catch who uses the word of the evening. The word of the evening that I've selected, in keeping with tonight's theme, is pregnant. However, I'm not looking for you to use the word pregnant in the biological sense of a female carrying a child. We're looking for the use of the word meaning full of potential meaning or suggestive. Like in the middle of his humorous speech, he gave it, there was a pregnant pause. So I'll be looking for that kind of use of the word pregnant, and I'll give a brief report at the end of the meeting.
Incidentally, this goes in nicely with our theme, which is Mother's Day. And a quote. The quote of the meeting is, "A mother's arms are made of tenderness, and children sleep soundly in them." That was by Victor Hugo. And now, laying down the verbal smackdown is Leslie Hollis as the off-counter.
Hello, there's no script here, so I'm assuming that the counter is the person who counts filler words on verbal crutches. So I'll be watching or listening to you all very closely.
Can you give some examples?
Oh,
Such as?
Like whatever, you feel me? Things like that.
And that was a really good job, by the way, of not having a script and not using any filler words to go through this, just kind of off the cuff. Our general evaluator for the meeting is Andal Krishna. We'll hear from her later on. And our greeter joke master this evening is Rick Starr. But now we're going to get into the meat, or the tofu steak of our meeting with our speeches. And to read the objectives for Manoli's speech, please join me in warmly welcoming Ryan Prana Miller.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. It's an honor to introduce Manoli's third speech, Yes, get to the point. How to get to the point. And every speech must have a general and a specific purpose. A general purpose is to inform, to persuade, to entertain, or to inspire. A specific purpose is what you want the audience to do after listening to your speech. Once you've established your general and specific purpose, you'll find it easy to organize your speech. You'll also have more confidence, which makes you more convincing, enthusiastic, and sincere. So we have a specific and a general purpose. That's what we're listening for. So this is the third speech in the Competent Communicator Manual, which is the basic manual for Toastmasters for the guests here. I think we just have two guests. So this is the manual. If you join, you get a manual like this. The objectives of the speech are to select a speech topic and determine its general and specific purpose, to organize the speech in a manner that best achieves those purposes and ensure the beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce the purpose. So, she's supposed to not use notes, so let's see what Manoli is from South Africa, and she moved to Fairfield 10 years ago with her family, and her speech will cover the importance of exercise. Manoli and her family are committed to exercise and support the community by participating in charitable causes, such as races. This Saturday, she will be participating in the Race for a Cure, which is a cancer supporting activism event. So let's welcome Manoli. Yep. Yes, thank you. All right.
I'm sure you've heard it all before. Exercise is good for you. But do you really know the hidden benefits and amazing effects that exercise can have on your body? Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. Today I'll give you a peek into a few of the most amazing benefits that exercise can do for not only your physical body, but your mental and emotional well-being. Yes, exercise can help melt away those pounds of unwanted fat, but it can also at the same time, without us even paying attention to those muscles that we want to gain, it helps us with our internal metabolic functions. While we're exercising and focusing on getting some really nice shaped abdominal muscles, our heart as well is being worked out. The muscles in the heart, which are responsible for pumping almost 2,000 gallons of blood a day, is getting stronger and healthier, which means that our resting heart rate soon lowers and less effort is needed for the heart to pump blood to the entire body. So by just working out and wanting a physical effect, there's also many health effects related to exercise. There are several studies that show how blood pressure decreases. Part 2, diabetes can also be reduced by just exercising on a daily basis. Especially in the cold winter months when we're not getting enough vitamin C in our diets, exercise can help get rid of a nasty cold. Our immune system is comprised of several different white body cells, and these cells are further influenced by exercise, by regular activity through blood circulation, which is the body's first line of defense. So a lot more exercise allows our immune system to counteract pathogens in the body by helping reduce those, and so our immunity stays strong and we are more healthier. Exercise not only has its effects on our body, but also on the mental and emotional side. Have you ever had a very stressful day at work and just wanted to go home and eat a divine chocolate bar or drown your sorrows in a glass of wine? Well, the reason why our body likes doing that is because when we indulge in these sensory appetizers, the brain releases a chemical hormone called endorphins. And these endorphins create a pleasurable state of mind. And so when you have one piece of chocolate, you can't just stop there. You have to eat the whole bar of chocolate until you're satisfied. So when we exercise, the natural product that the brain releases are these endorphins. And these endorphins release more hormones in the brain, which give a more pleasurable and desirable state of mind. So without even needing to burn the calories from chocolate and wine, you can exercise. And this exercising combats those negative depression and sorrow that you're feeling, so that you automatically go for exercise instead of taking or indulging in some delicious food that's not very healthy for you. However, exercise can be very hard to get around because there's always not enough time in the day. But if you're dedicated and focused, there's always a few minutes of the day that you can put aside just to exercise. Research has even shown that if you don't have an hour or 30 minutes, you can do high intensity interval training, which is 16 minutes or even shorter bursts of exercise, as this has proven to be even more effective than 30 minutes running on a treadmill, because we're exciting the short nerve muscles, and which helps produce faster results within our body. Also, another tool to help us exercise, there's a lot of these out there, but one famous one is called a Fitbit. This Fitbit helps you track the number of steps you do in a day. I have one, but I forgot it at home. But it helps you everyone should at least be getting 10,000 steps a day, which is equivalent to around 4 to 5 miles. And when I first tried to use my Fitbit, I was surprised at how few steps I was doing. I was only getting around 3,000 to 4,000. But then when I started doing my exercise and incorporating into my routine, I was hitting the 10,000 mark closer and closer. It not only allows you to keep track of your exercise, but it encourages you to get up every few minutes and walk around. Our physiology is not designed to only sit behind a computer or, sit behind a desk and work away. We need to get up and move. It allows our body circulation to get going, our muscles to be strong. And one of the most important things is that mentally, when we exercise, it negates the effects of depression. About 94% of Americans suffer from depression in the United States, and exercise alone can reduce that number because when we're exercising, we're creating endorphins. Those are the feel-good hormones, and by creating those, we're negating the negative effects. Exercise is not only good for one part of your body, it's good for your emotional mind and your mental mind. I would encourage everyone to just put a few minutes aside of their day. It doesn't have to be big chunks of time. Just a few minutes to do a short burst of activity can help you go very far. You want to continue doing have a regular routine so that every day you're feeling focused and dedicated. And by doing that, you also gain self-confidence and self-esteem because you feel better about the way you look and present yourself. It's very important at least 3 times a week to do cardiovascular exercises. And by doing so, you can help build your heart muscles, your respiratory system. And those alone affect your happiness because you become a happy person. And a happy person likes to encourage other people. And so a happy, healthy person is what I would like everyone to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoli. Please take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker. And we're back. And now, for our second speech, it's my pleasure to call up Jean Symington Craig, who will read the objectives for Fraser Jones.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests and viewers at home. Fraser Jones is also doing project number 3 from the Competent Communicator Manual. The project is titled Get to the Point. And his objectives are to select a speech topic and determine its general and specific purpose, to organize the speech in a manner that best achieves those purposes, ensure the beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce the purposes, and project sincerity and conviction, and control any nervousness you may feel. Strive not to use notes. It's an introduction. Fraser Jones from Dominica, the nature island of the Caribbean. He has been during the 70s an electronic hobbyist. You sneaking up on me? Let me introduce you, and then we'll give you applause up here. It's more spectacular that way. Okay. So Fraser was, during the 70s, he was an electronic hobbyist, and in the 80s, he was a computer hobbyist. His talk tonight is titled, Open Source Software is Everywhere. Please help me warmly welcome Fraser Jones.
Everything in this life is free, like the air we breathe, and open source software. Madam Toastmaster, fellow members, visitors, and viewers at home. Every one of us use open source software whether we realize it or not. All of us have a cell phone. If you go under the About and look at the legal sources, open licenses, you'll see a whole lot of licenses. These are the key for open source software. They give the user not only the ability to use the software like proprietary software, but also to modify. It gives you the source code so you can modify, use, and distribute it freely. This license is key to the use, to the real meaning of open source and the value. The method of developing ends up being collaborative. And what that means, that gives rise to several, I'll go through two main things that give rise to. One, the software is much more robust than any software developed by any other methods. For example, Linux. This was developed by Linus Torvalds in 1991. He made it public so everybody could see the code, and people start contributing and improving on it. And by 2015, the Linux Foundation, who was overall responsible for the development, they said in that year, 1,100 programmers contributed actively to it, and they were from 100 companies. And in the past 8 years, from 2005, more than 10,000 programmers contributed, and they were from more than 1,000 companies. What that means is because all these eyes are looking at the software, the final product is free of bugs, or have very few bugs. In 2013, PC Magazine reported that Linux had about 2 bugs per 10,000 lines of code, whereas proprietary software had about 200 to 300 bugs per 10,000 lines of code. So it is no wonder that in 2013, the International Space Station, they changed from Windows to Linux because of the robustness of Linux. So Linux is in space. Gartner reported that the top 500 supercomputers, that was in 2016 Gartner report, out of the top 500 supercomputers, 497 of them ran Linux. A lot of other companies use it because of this robustness. It is what power the web, company I work with, we use it. We have several Linux servers and also Asterix and other open source software, PBX. And I use several geographical information software like UDIG and GBSig to take care of my mapping of all facilities. And at home, I use LibreOffice, Firefox, Wikipedia, and I also have a Linux machine. So the other thing I wanted to look at was the freeness, you see? It's free, I like it, you know. I'm kidding. Well, it's not really freeness, it's the freedom to do what you want with it, all right? That, for instance, Mark Shuttleworth in South Africa, in 1995, he formed a company through it in his garage. He had just freshly graduated. The US had an embargo on the security, on the strength of encryption you could export. So he decided he had all the tools. It is in open source. He developed his own certificate program. And by 1999, he sold it to VeriSign, which was his biggest competitor, and had, both of them at that time had 50% of the market each. So you see, open source software is all around, even in space, at home, at work. And I would like you, next time you see, let's say, next time you see donation requests from, it could be Wikipedia or any one of the other open source things, please donate and keep them alive and going. Thank you.
Thank you, Fraser. Please take 2 minutes to evaluate Fraser's speech. And we're back after that pregnant reflection on Fraser's speech. And now it's my pleasure to call up our third evaluator, Rick Starr, who will evaluate Marco Yannick's speech.
Thank you, Will, guests, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. It's my pleasure to introduce Marco, who's giving Project 9 from the Competent Communicator Manual. Marco was born in Belgrade, capital of Serbia. He moved to the USA in 2012 and moved to Fairfield in 2016. He's now working as the director of the MUM Recreation Center. Passion is to grow mentally, spiritually, personally, and physically, to evolve and to give and serve as many people as possible. The objectives of Project 9, it's titled Persuade with Power. There are 4 objectives. Persuade listeners to adopt your viewpoint or ideas or to take some action. Appeal to the audience's interests. Use logic and emotion to support your position and avoid using notes. Title of Marco's speech is Passion. It's 5 to 7 minutes. Join me in welcoming Marco.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. It was the evening 2015. The winter was just over, and I was taking a walk. Came out of my house and about to take a walk to the gym. It was maybe like 1 mile away. And I was just walking, relaxing. I was in my own world. And somewhere along the way, I saw a man who was singing. He was an elderly gentleman. He wasn't singing so beautiful, but he was doing his best. And he was so involving, he was attracting. So I made some comment and we started a conversation. I got to introduce myself. His name was Jeff. He was from Philadelphia. He was born and raised over there, industrial neighborhood. And he started talking about, I asked him what he was singing, why does he sing? He told me that's something that he always wanted to do since he was a young boy. He always had a passion to sing. He wanted to be a singer and to be an actor, to create something out of his life. But somewhere along the way, he got pulled away. And in his case, it was by his parents and his family. They didn't approve that he doing that. They had a different plan for him and they needed him for something else. And he was now in his 70s, taking singing classes and acting classes, wanting to create something out of his life. And I could see hope, I could see light in his face, but at the same time, I feel the pain. The pain that couldn't go away. The pain of the years passed by that could never come back. It struck me. I don't know about you, but I know I never ever want to live the life with regret. Passion is an interesting thing. Passion for me is love. When you love, you're passionate. And for each one of us is different. Each one of us is pregnant with different passion. But the thing is, you have to find what is your passion. I truly encourage you, and no matter how old or young you are, I truly believe that you have something that you're good at, that you can do so good with the least amount of effort, maybe better than somebody else. Somebody else outside told you that you're good at it, and you discard it because you disbelieve, or maybe you're afraid even to step up. In this case, I could relate for Jeff because I kind of similar situation. I'm here. Recently, I decided to stop my education at the school because I want to pursue my passion. And I want to enhance and grow my awareness and learn the skills that are necessary for me to grow as much as I can, do all I can do, be all I can be, and contribute as much as I can contribute. And I realized that school is not the best way for me. I totally have respect, but it wasn't the best way for me. But it wasn't approved from my parents. And we got into charge, and I know that they cannot understand. I tried my best, and I tried, and it's really difficult to understand. We have a different point of view. I don't say they're right or wrong. I just know that I have to follow my path, no matter what anybody else says or do, because I never ever want to live the life with regret. So I know we all have obligations, and we have to show the respect to our family members or friends or whoever. But if you're not centering yourself, if you're not happy with yourself, with what you're doing or where you're at, you cannot be good for anybody else. No matter what anybody else wants you to do. My father begged me to be like everybody else. I cry and say, my father, I cannot be like everybody else. I really can't. I try. I never could imagine myself working some job from 9 to 5 just for the salary and having the family. I'm looking forward to having the family, but I don't want to have it just because somebody else expects from me. I want to feel when the right time it comes. Then I started studying people who make some progress and success in their lives. And I realized no matter which age you are. I'm not sure if you ever hear about Colonel Sanders. He was 65 years old when he realized, 65 years old, when he realized that he doesn't want to satisfy, he doesn't want to sell himself short. So he stepped up. He went to 1,000 stores. Can you imagine 1,000 stores? How many of us would give up only after a few of them? 10, rejection, laugh at him, ridicule him. 1,000, and he didn't give up. He just wanted the percentage. He didn't want to take any money in advance or anything. Whatever they sell, he wanted a percentage. And now, KFC is one of the most popular fast food in the world, and they're all over the world. They're even in Serbia. So there's a proof, no matter at which age you are, I beg you, don't sell yourself short. Don't come to that bad, because we're all going to die at some point. That's the most important thing to become aware of, that none of us is going to live forever. And we will always woke up with the thought that I don't think we're even aware of that. I beg you to find what is your passion. It could be singing, maybe dancing, or whatever it is. Spending time in nature. But whatever brings you joy and smile to your face and emanate light from you, so you can bring the good energy and just to your surroundings and the planet. Do you wake up with the saying, "Good morning, God," or you say, "Good God, morning"? I beg you, don't die with your music still in you. Make a decision and don't leave the place of making decision without taking some action, whatever it is. It doesn't matter how much small it is. Just one step. Build that momentum and move forward your dreams. Create the life of your dreams.
Please take 2 minutes to evaluate Marco's speech. And we're back. And now is the time where we ask, Mr. Timer Pro Tem, which of our speakers qualify?
I've got Manoli qualified, Frazier did not qualify, and so it's Manoli and Marco qualified.
Please vote for Manoli or Marco. And now we're going to move right into the deep. I don't know, I was going to go a place with that, I'm not going to go. I'm going to call up Andal Krishna, our general evaluator.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters, honorable guests, and viewers at home. As a general evaluator, my role is to present the evaluators. For tonight, we have 3 evaluators evaluating the 3 speakers. Evaluator's role is basically like when a cocoon, a butterfly comes out of a cocoon, is the way a speaker comes out of their comfort zone and gives the speech here. And the evaluator's role is like when the butterfly starts to fly, take off, and the evaluator tries to evaluate how far the butterfly is flying. So let's warmly welcome our first evaluator, Ryan Miller.
Okay. Tonight's Speaker Manoli Nayagar gave her third speech, and I think she nailed it. There were two. It was a sports match. She's like 45-0. You did great. I gave you a 4 on the general purpose of the speech: health, heart, and blood pressure, mental and emotional well-being as the general purpose. The specific purpose of the speech, again, similar: immune system, a pleasurable state of mind, the benefits of exercise. Basically, that's what I got out of the speech. The benefits of exercise are for your immune system, a pleasurable state of mind, and that it combats depression, which 95% of Americans, 94% of Americans have some issue or depression situation. The speech organization supported the speech's specific purpose. The organization was, you had a lot of the same points over and over in different words, I think. So, health benefits of exercise. So that was good. I think the organization, I was trying to listen to like intro, body, conclusion. Maybe I just wasn't maybe I didn't land in the room, it just focus enough, but I didn't catch your intro, body, and conclusion. Maybe I just wasn't as focused as I could have been listening. The main points and supporting material contributed to the speech's specific purpose. I think, like you said, the specific purpose of the speech was to kind of encourage people to exercise. As a benefit of exercise, you have, everyone knows exercise is beneficial, but I think the main purpose of the speech was to kind of like a call to action. Even though it was get to the point, I think it was also call to action, which is a later speech in the book. So this would be great to do this speech again on the call to action speech. The speaker achieved the specific purpose. Yes, definitely. You were confident and you have great vocabulary, minimal nervousness, and I don't think you used your notes at all, so great, no notes. And my only suggestion for your speech would be to maybe work on the intro, body, conclusion, and just to more stratify the speech. And I love the topic, relevant for everybody in this room, in this planet. Yep, thank you.
Next evaluator would be for Fraser, would be Jean Symington Craig.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. So impressed with Fraser. That's the first time I seem to have been out of town. His first 2 speeches, and I kept going, dang, I missed a Fraser speech. I feel very honored to be able to evaluate him tonight. I will read through the criteria in the manual. This is project number 3, get to the point. The general purpose of the speech was clear. It was informational. He made that pretty clear. The specific purpose of the speech, he was going to be explaining open source software and its presence everywhere. So that's the specific part of the general informational speech. The speech organization supported the speech's specific purpose. I felt he did a really excellent job in organizing because he had 3 main areas. He had space, that we all know something about. He had work, and he gave us a comment about software that he used in his mapping and his work. So in the space program, he had the Linux, is that correct pronunciation? Work was the maps, and then home, he talked about Firefox and Wikipedia and some things that we all maybe already know as well. So it was really well done. The main points in supporting material contributed to the speech's specific purpose. And I think he did that. He tied stories and information into each of those areas, and then he wrapped with a conclusion. I thought it was good. One comment would be, this would be just a suggestion because it was fairly specific, that if you have a non-technical audience, it might serve to define a little bit more some of the terms. Just a thought, but could be hard. I was able to understand it, and I'm not really highly technical, so I think that says something. The beginning, the body, and the conclusion reinforce a specific purpose. I thought it did. He really kept it tied in. The speaker achieved the specific purpose. Again, very well organized. The speaker appeared confident and sincere with minimal nervousness. I would say a little bit of nervousness came across, a little bit of waiting for the words to come. And that could be fixed and improved with a little more practice. Just practice, put on your timer on your phone, talk to your dog, talk to your stuffed animal. If you have a stuffed animal, Fraser, I don't know if you do. A pillow, lock somebody in the room, make them listen. But just, it's getting the mouth feel will actually help. The speaker did not use any notes, which is an important part of this. So what he could have done differently, I think, again, I've already mentioned it, practice, one more practice so it's very smooth and clear. And be sure to articulate key words. Now, if there's a Caribbean accent, maybe there's going to be a little extra mouth getting around that I would just suggest. What I love is the conclusion. He really had it organized. He has a very impressive knowledge of the field, all of the stories, the dates, the developmental arcs, very interesting. And he had no filler words. Good job.
We'd like to welcome Rick Starr, who will be evaluating our third speaker, Marco.
Thank you, Andal, guests, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, but especially Marco. Marco's strength is his storytelling. His strength is telling very personal stories about himself and his growth in life. I think this project was exactly suited to your purpose. I think this was in your wheelhouse, as we say. So I'm going to go through the points in the manual. Did the speaker project sincerity and conviction? Was he a credible source of information about this topic? Yes. Marco has spent a lot of time, a lot of thought on his own personal development. He shared that with us, so we've kind of come to expect this from him, and he did a very good job for that. Did the speaker phrase his appeal in terms of the audience self-interest? Obviously, yes. He's telling us to be passionate about life, not to settle. Did the speaker use facts and logical reasoning to support his or her views? Not so much, but I don't think the speech was any worse for him not doing this. This was a very emotional speech. What he did use well was anecdotes. The anecdote opening, how he opened the speech with the man singing on the beach. The anecdote of Colonel Sanders starting at 65 and visiting 1,000 restaurants and not getting discouraged. Did the speaker properly use emotion to persuade the audience? Absolutely. He used it very effectively, both in the content of the speech and in how he said things. For example, did he use vocal variety and stage movement? And I'd say yes. His stage movement, in my opinion, was deliberately understated. He moved a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit there. But I think the speech was all the more effective for that. And the vocal variety was anything but understated. I think you've come a long way in this, Marco, because in the past you've kind of spoken a little too softly. But now when you said, I never want to live my life of regret raised your voice. You almost shouted it. And you did that a couple of times. I thought that was very good. Was I persuaded to accept the speaker's views? Yes. What did I like about the speech? Used anecdotes effectively, used emotion very effectively, good use of vocal variety, and again, that's something you've approved. Good eye contact with the audience, and good stage movement. What could the speaker have done differently to make the speech more effective? I just have two suggestions. You're making good eye contact, but one thing to try is one point, one person. So as you're making a point, lock onto that person until you finish that point. And the second suggestion, you had a great line, do wake up saying, "Good morning, God," instead of, "Oh, God, it's morning." And you said this very effective, you said this softly, and that was another good way of using vocal variety. I would have ended the speech with that. You had a couple of sentences after that, but I thought that would be a good dramatic way to end the speech. Thank you.
I would like to introduce our table topic master, Emily Steyer.
Thank you, Randall. Table Topics tonight plays on the theme of Mother's Day, and that is a topic that is pregnant with potential and possibilities. And so I'm eager to hear what our speakers deliver. Do we have a volunteer? Anyone who has had a mother would be eligible to compete. Mr. Dan Craig. Now, I'm not allowing you to choose. I'm choosing for you, depending on who comes up. So I picked out some quotes. I was inspired by the quote that was the theme, and I went on the internet and found many others. Here's one by Robert Frost. You don't have to deserve your mother's love, you have to deserve your father's. Is this true for you? Explain.
Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. I think that is true for me. I suspect that it's true for most of us. There's something about mother who's always looking out for you, whatever the case may be. You just feel it. You go to school, you do your sports, you grow up and do your various activities as a kid, and mom's just kind of always there looking out for you, trying to help you along. Sometimes perhaps too much. And I did have the feeling, I had a very nice relationship with my father, but I did have the feeling that I needed to please my father. He was a loving person also, but maybe that's just the dynamic with a father. You want to accomplish something and present it to him. You want to win the baseball game with the hit in the ninth inning. I think that also could have had its negative aspects. I remember when I was going from junior high to high school, I'd been a football player and I was sick of it. I didn't want to play anymore. And my father didn't make me play football in high school. He just said, "You've got to decide what you want to do. And then he was obviously depressed. Day after day. He was actually bouncing off some of his own experiences as a kid, and I don't have time to explain it. But I ended up playing high school football, and I did it for my father. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Do we have another volunteer? Oh, Santoria, I was just hoping you would volunteer. Pope Paul VI said, "Every mother is like Moses. She does not enter the promised land. She prepares a world she will not see." What do you think the Pope is saying here? What are the rewards of motherhood?
Good evening, guests, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. Thank you, Emery. That was actually a perfect question for me because my mother truly is like a Moses. The background is that my mother is from rural Mississippi. Even though I'm from the north, my mother is extremely southern. And she grew up poor in segregated South, and even though on paper there weren't many opportunities for her, she made sure that me and all my siblings had as many opportunities as possible. Me, I was a knee baby, which meant I was always with my mother, but I was a hard case. And one thing she didn't like about me is that I had a strong shell. I didn't like people to talk to me. I didn't like people to touch me. I didn't even like people to look at me. And from the time I was a little girl, she would say like such inspiring things to me, like, you know, Santori, I know you're special. You're like Oprah. You can be her one day. I know you can. And even though by high school I still had no social skills, no friends, no anything, she still every day she would come to my room and she would tell me those things. And one day that was kind of like the fuel that I needed to have the true me come out, because she was right. There is something deep inside of me that was there. And I don't think she cares if she has a mansion or a nice car or anything like that. But knowing that I have the potential to obtain those things is what really gives her joy and pleasure. So I don't feel that Moses was upset that he wouldn't get to the promised land. He just wants to be the one that would lead people there. And that is how my mother is. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have maybe a guest who would like to participate? It's easy, Andy. It's really easy. Or perhaps a brand new member?
Oh.
Sort of a pre-icebreaker. One more.
This is about Mother's Day stuff?
And Doll, you're very much a mother. Can I? This is by the actress Jessica Lange. When you become a mother, you are no longer the center of your own universe. You relinquish that position to your children. How have you dealt with the challenges of becoming an unselfish parent?
fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. I don't know if I really understood the question completely, but the last sentence I remember you saying being unselfish mother. Okay. I can't imagine a mother being selfish. I don't know. I've never seen my mom that way, being selfish in any way, or even my grandparents, my dad's mom, or my mom's mom, or any mom in that fact. Like when I was growing up, I've never seen any mom being selfish. I always had a feeling that mom are special gift, that they are reflection of living God, maybe. That's how I've been seeing mom in my life throughout. But when I became mom myself, when I remember when I was in the hospital and I was holding my baby in my hand and it was in full complete tears, and it was a joyful moment for me to have my baby in my arms. But I didn't have any clue how it's going to all work out, because you don't have a manual or an experience to be a mom. You just learn. On. You're just thrown in the water and you just have to swim. You don't have to have a experience. So I actually learned a lot from my kids to grow as a mom, I guess, in whatever stage I am right now. How better a good mom I am, I don't know. That I'm still working on that direction to be better. Maybe that will end until the day when I rest in my deathbed. Until then, the urge to get better will be there. Thank you.
I believe that's all the time we have for table topics. Mr. Timer, could you tell us which speakers qualified?
Speakers, table topics.
Just table topic speakers, and just the names of those who qualified.
All speakers qualified.
Would you list those?
Dan Craig, Satoria Rush, and Don Christian.
Okay. So please vote for your best table topic speaker. We have our ballots collected. I'd like to call up our table topics evaluator, Dennis Gomez.
Friends at home, fellow Toastmasters, and our honored guests. I appreciated all three of your speeches tonight. One thing I'd like to point out to begin with is everybody who spoke, Dan, Santoria, and Andal, really captivated the audience with their sense of humor. At parts of their speech, I enjoyed that and I appreciated that. Ooh, light right there. To start off with summaries, I would say for Dan, you relate to the audience very well with talking about how you felt always your mom was behind you, that unconditional love, that they're willing to support us through any moment that we're at in our life. And I could totally relate to how you talked about how you always wanted to please your father. And I can relate definitely for you as through football, whether you wanted to or not. But for me, sometimes how I'd run track or soccer, even how you act, all of us can relate to that, I think. For Santoria, one thing quick. For an improvement for you, Dan, I would say sometimes with hand gestures, sometimes you're keeping your hands a little bit behind, a little bit too much. I'd say once in a while try to be a little bit more animated during the speech. You did that well at some parts, though. For Santoria, you captivated the audience very well. The story at the beginning was excellent because that really got all of us right away imagining how things were for your mom growing up, and then for you as a child growing up and developing. I really enjoyed that. Story of how your mother's support got you to really get to where you are, feeling more confident, and then your relationship with your siblings and how you felt like they may have been different in certain ways at times in their development. That really resonated well, I think, with a lot of us, and we can relate to how you may have older siblings that like this, middle siblings another way, younger sibling. Everybody finds their way eventually in their path through life. The one thing I could say for improvement, it was an excellent speech, very smooth. I'd say if there are a few filler words that you used, at those times you could have made a little bit of a pause at the end and then jumped right to the conclusion. Otherwise, excellent. Well done. Andal, it was really great to see the way you used the types of phrases that were done, like reflection of living God, to describe your mother, and that was really well timed, and it was very, very well in terms of class too. I would say sense of humor too. I really enjoyed that. The way that you used ornamental language to get us to imagine a garden, I felt like, when you were describing how motherhood is for both you seeing your mom growing up and for you experiencing being a mom. That was really well done, and I appreciate that. One improvement I would say for you would be the introduction could use a little bit more of a captivating theme. Something that could be a little bit more forceful, almost, in terms, you right away got into the body of your speech. You started using that imagery very well. But the intro, try to get something a little bit more forceful for the audience. Well done. Thank you.
The agenda doesn't say it, but do I turn this podium back over to the general evaluator at this point?
I'd like to ask our timer, the evaluators who qualify, the evaluators who qualify for the voting.
Evaluators who qualify are Ryan Brown and Miller, this is Jean, and Rick.
Okay. Let's take a moment to vote for the best evaluator. And Dennis. You didn't qualify. Okay, sorry. Okay. Let's hear it from our timer, the timer report for today's meeting.
Time for today. Minoli, she finished with 7 minutes and 25 seconds. Fraser, 8 minutes and 11 seconds. Marco, 7 minutes and 21 seconds. Brana, 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Jean, 3 minutes and 24 seconds. Rick, 3 minutes and 29 seconds. And Dennis, 3 minutes and 54 seconds.
Let's hear from our grammarian, Art Atkinson.
So Marco used pregnant once, I believe, and he had a couple of phrases that I caught. I saw light in his face, describing the man singing, and he spoke about living a life of regret. Minoli spoke about feel-good hormone, and there was one point at which I believe you said more healthier. You did correct. Jean had a colorful phrase about talking to a stuffed animal or a pillow. Fraser with his phrase, "It's in space," referring to Linux. Andal had a beautiful analogy that I couldn't capture the whole of, but it was in regards to a new speaker as a butterfly. Santoria spoke of her mother as extremely southern. And Andal's phrase about motherhood, "You don't have a manual." And Emery used pregnant also. That's my report.
Let's hear from our R counter, a new member, Leslie.
Some of you may have more than you should. Oh, than you should, because I started counting every time you spoke. So I'm not sure if that's the way it's supposed to work, but that's what I did. So, but I'll read you in order of your speeches. Should I do it that way? Anyway, so Manoli, one and, two tongue clicks, 5 false starts, although the definition of a false start wasn't that clear. I just determined it when you stopped and started again. Looking up to find the words, 5, let's see, 2, Fraser, 1 3 ums, 4 false starts, and 5 looking away. Marco, 1 1 but, 1 and. Brian, Prana, Miller, 6 ums, 6 ahs, 8 ums, 4 likes, 2 1 so, 1 but, 2 ands.
You're good, you're good. You're good at this.
Jean, 1 but and 1 and. Rick, 1 1 Andal, 3 uhs. Emery, either I wasn't listening well or you were really good. So none of those things. Dan, 2 ands. Santoria, 2 likes, 3 ands. And Dennis, 2 uhs, 1 and 1 and.
See the full potential of Leslie. She did a wonderful job listening. Let's welcome Rick Starr, the joke master for tonight.
Quick joke. Bill Gates walked into a bar. Everybody became a millionaire, on average. Thank you.
I should talk to Rick to find out the joke later. I didn't really get the joke.
The average amount of money in the
Made everyone millionaires.
Okay.
Everybody equally above $1 million.
My daughter always says that joke, when it is explained, it's not a joke
There you
anymore.
It's a time release joke.
Well, as a general evaluator, my job is to evaluate the evaluators to find out how far the speakers are flying up in the sky. So we had 4 evaluators. And first was for Minoli Ryan Prana Miller. He evaluated Minoli. You had a lot of points about Minoli's speech, and you went through the manual. I think one suggestion for me, if I have to give you, would be if you can have it all bullet points, like 1, 2, 3, and that would have that could be more comprehended form than because as a speaker, an audience, everyone is listening. So if you can have your points in bullet points, rather than explaining what she spoke, you know. And that's one suggestion. And next was Jean Symington Craig. She's a very good evaluator with so much of experience. She the good thing about Jean evaluating a speaker, for me, I feel that she brings up the whole speech in few sentences. You just capture everything that needs to be comprehended in that speech, and you bring out good suggestion. And I think you brought up with example, giving the suggestion for improvement for a phraser. That was wonderful, and you always have a good eye contact with the speaker, which makes it more personal. When the person is receiving the suggestion, it makes you feel, okay, the evaluator listened to my speech and she's giving all this valuable suggestion. It's more, to me, it feels like I'm more perspective in taking your suggestions. And the third evaluator, Mr. Rick Starr, he greeted the audience. I don't know if maybe I missed it. The other two evaluators, I didn't see them greeting. But Rick, he greeted the audience and started with the strength of the speaker, and he went through the manual. And every time I see when you're evaluating, I see that you're quick in evaluating, going through the manuals, and giving out the points that is valuable for the speaker to improve. I felt that you were standing in the same spot. My suggestion would be to move maybe with purpose while you are evaluating. Our table topic evaluator, Dennis, you had a very good eye contact because you had 3 speakers to evaluate, and the first, when you started your evaluation, you had one good point for all the speakers together. That was to me, it felt like captivating. You had listened to every speaker word by word. I could feel that when you were bringing up your suggestions, and at the same time pointing out what was good in the speech. You were saying, when you were talking about Santoria, you were saying the words that she used and the pause, where she paused and how she could have improved. So I could see that you listened to the speakers very carefully, and that was really good. And you moved on the stage while you were speaking. I don't have a suggestion right now, but maybe I'll think by the end of this meeting and give you a suggestion. Thank you.
As you probably guessed, it's time for medium awards. I can't tell you what my favorite part of the meeting is. It always jumps around from meeting to meeting, but tonight, this is probably my favorite part of the meeting. The accolades, the glory. First off, for Best Evaluator, Jean Symington Craig. Best Table Topics, Santoria Rush. Best regular speaker, Marco Yannick. And Persuade with Power, Marco. We're not done yet. Get to the point. Let's start off with Manoli. And Frazier.
That way I can get the poster,
Yeah.
the banner and everything. Okay.
Now I'm out of awards, so it's my pleasure to call up our president, Mr. Rick Starr.
Thank you, Will. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight, especially our guests, David, Angela, and Orion. Welcome back. Good to see you. Angela, any comment on the meeting?
I enjoyed it. I kind of wanted to get up there to speak for Mother's Day, but
Almost made it.
another topic or the question, so I didn't get it. I had it on my mind.
Well, thank you all for coming. It was a great meeting. Had some good speeches, some very good table topic speeches. Glad you're all here. Is there any business anyone has before we close the meeting?
New members, applications are over here. Come talk to somebody over here at the table if you want to become a member.
Good.
Talk to me, actually.
Good person to talk to.
And have some coffee for free.
Some nice ice cold coffee.
Decaf.
Okay, if there's no further business, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.